Honorable Men Discord. Karmelo Anthony is out on house arrest. His bond has been reduced to $250,000. Let's talk about it. All right, to the side of me is the judge responsible for the reduction in his bond. All right, her name is Judge Angela Tucker. Judge Angela Tucker. Let's get a picture back up over here. Judge Angela Tucker, you are so appreciated. This is what I hope for our future. What I hope for our future is us not aspiring to perpetuate ignorance, but intelligence. Let's be judges. Let's be lawyers. Let's be doctors. Let's be nurses. Let's be engineers. Let's be scientists. We have the brain for it. Let's be accountants, bankers. I know we're out there, but let's have more of that. Let's perpetuate that. But let me not go off subject. Am I happy? Absolutely. Why am I happy? I'm gonna make it very clear. First and foremost, my first video that I covered on this didn't get much attention, which I was kind of surprised because this is a big deal. If anyone hasn't been watching, all right, I'm gonna plug the initial video at the end of this. This case is a very big deal. Okay. For those of you that don't know, it took place in Texas. Two 17-year-old males exchanged words. Allegedly may have been a scuffle. Karmelo Anthony with a K unfortunately took the life of the other 17-year-old by stabbing him in the chest. All right. It's unfortunate across the board. All right. For those of you that haven't been paying attention to this, please start paying attention to this, because it's amazing how the accounts of some, especially those that claim to be Christian, sound so evil that it confuses me. Particularly those that claim to be Christian, right? Because first and foremost, my biggest issue with this whole case wasn't race, right? Which is why my episode that I covered on this was highlighting where were the adults in this whole scenario. All right. That's what I named the thumbnail, and I stand on that. But outside of that, the reason why this case is so intriguing to me is because I don't know about any of you that are watching this video today, but I was raised with the understanding and knowledge of don't put your hands on anybody, don't touch anyone. And what amazes me in this case is there's this huge group of people that just out of the sheer fact that Karmelo Anthony pulled out a knife, had it at a track meet, they just want to see him prosecuted to the fullest extent. But no one is looking at the fact that the whole entire scenario could have been avoided had Metcalf not put hands on him. Now, Metcalf, fine. He addressed him allegedly and said, listen, I want you out of the tent. But they're both 17-year-olds. What 17-year-olds listening to a direction from another 17-year-old or a command from another 17-year-old, right? So this could have been avoided had the Metcalf twin, went and looked for an adult to address Karmelo. But we're beyond that. This video is not about that. Just do yourself a favor and get yourself up to speed about this case. Take a look at the video that I have linked at the end. This is just for me, I don't care about the backlash. I'm happy for Karmelo. He deserves to be out, and he deserves a fair day in court, period. If it is found that through video evidence and through other evidence that he is 100% guilty, then he deserves to do the time, period. I'm not here to sugarcoat this because Karmelo's black and the other young man is Caucasian, is white, whatever, how you want to put it, to be politically correct. Because at the end of the day, they were both, the young man who lost his life was intelligent, 4.0. Carmelo Anthony allegedly has a 3.7, possibly 4.0 also. They tried to paint Carmelo as if he came from a bad family, but it's turned out that his mother and father and his siblings have been together for 17 years of marriage, right? The other family, they were not together, but that's not to say that, again, that Metcalf deserved to lose his life. That is not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is that, unfortunately, this whole case has been strategically tampered with as far as what information podcasters are putting out. If they're siding with the Metcalf family and they're upset at the fact that Metcalf lost his life, I understand the anger, but to leave out details about Carmelo's family is just beyond me. And it's not, first of all, it's not even the Christian thing to do. All right. If you're gonna call yourself a Christian, and the podcasters who I'm talking about know who they are. I'm not even gonna mention their name because I don't care to talk about them. But if you're gonna claim to be Christian, put out the facts exactly how they are. If you're gonna list everything about one family, list everything about the other family with no bias. And you, at the end of your opinion, you don't have to side with Carmelo, whether or not you feel like he deserves a fair day in court. But at least list everything fairly on both sides. That has not been happening across podcasters. But anyway, again, this is the judge, Angela Tucker. God bless Angela Tucker. Right? We're gonna go into this is courtesy of WFAA. This is when he was released. Let's get into it.
You some breaking news here at 4:30 in case you're just now joining us. Karmelo Anthony, the teenage suspect in that deadly Frisco stabbing at the track meet, just walked out of the Collin County Jail minutes ago. Today, a Collin County judge reduced the bond for the 17-year-old from $1 million down to $250,000. Anthony will have to wear an ankle monitor from here on. He'll be on supervised house arrest and can only leave the house with the approval from the court. He has to stay off social media as well, and he cannot contact the victim's family. Wanted to bring you that video, though. We're going to have a live report with the very latest coming up in just a little bit at 5 o'clock with WFAA's Brittany Moncrief.
All right, so that was the immediate news report. This is his attorney. This is the attorney representing Karmelo Anthony. Let's get into it.
Every Texan has the right to defend themselves when they reasonably fear for their life. Self-defense is a protection that applies to each and every one of us. There are two sides to every story, and Karmelo is a 17-year-old kid and an excellent student. He is the captain of his track team. He is the captain of his football team. And prior to this, what was on his mind was what college he was going to go to. This is a tragedy all the way around for both families. Rushing to judgment, trial by public perception and trial by media is not how we ensure justice is done. We are confident that after a full investigation, that the truth will come out. Thank you.
Mike, you took umbrage with the state's assessment that this was simple and brutal. Why so?
Well, the fact of the matter is, like I said, there's two sides to every story, and we've only heard one side. In any criminal case, the police investigate, and the defense is always far behind that. And so it is a one-sided investigation to this point, and even that investigation is still ongoing. So to say that it happened this way or that way is just not accurate at this point. All of the facts are going to come out, and that's why our system of justice requires that we keep our minds open and we let the facts come out as they are after a full investigation.
Is your client going to be able to make bond and get out today?
I anticipate that he will be able to make bond. I can't speak to how quickly that will go. funds, in the funds that have been raised are not quick to come out. And then, there's obviously a process to the release process once bond is posted.
The big question that a lot of people have is, why was this young man armed on school property?
That's an understandable question, but it's not something that, frankly, we're prepared to even go into. This is something that I know the police and the prosecution want to get it right and want to have a full and fair investigation, and so do we. So it would be irresponsible for me or them at this point to start saying, this is what happened, this is why, anything. So I understand that's a big question. It's going to be a big question, and it's something that we will find out, and we ask that the public, as hard as it is, withhold judgment and let both of these families have justice, that let both of these young men, the Metcalf family and the memory of who they've lost, but also Karmelo, have a fair and full justice process.
How your feeling on the reduction of this bond? You feel it's fair?
Yeah, I feel it's fair. Bond, as the judge said, is not supposed to be an instrument of oppression. It's not supposed to keep people in jail. It's not supposed to punish. It's supposed to ensure that a person shows up to court, complies with all conditions, and it's supposed to keep the community safe. So this is a large and substantial bond, and the judge has, I think, rightly imposed reasonable conditions that will ensure both Karmelo and the Anthony family's safety, but also the safety of the community.
What was Carmelo's reaction today? He didn't seem very talkative toward you. And how has jail, I guess, been so far for this teenager? And is he on suicide watch or anything like that?
I honestly can't speak to Karmelo's reaction because I was so focused on the hearing and what was going on and what the judge was saying. I think we have to all remember Karmelo is a 17-year-old kid who's never been in any sort of trouble before. If you can just put yourself in his shoes, this is a scary, bewildering process, and I can't even imagine what was going through his head, just as I'm sure I can't imagine what was going through the heads of the Metcalf family. So, this is something that is new to all of them and incredibly trying.
So for people who want to know, why were you selected? I mean, what is your experience? I mean, you had to be really good.
I can't speak as to why I was selected.
So I was looking up the attorney's name because I'd like to give out that information, try to be as thorough as possible. The attorney that's speaking, that's representing Karmelo Anthony's name, is Mike Howard. All right. So it seems as though his family chose to get a new attorney because this is not the attorney, or I should say attorneys initially that we saw images of, unless it's a team of attorneys. But being that he's speaking, I'm going to assume he's the only attorney or he's the lead attorney. But let's continue.
In any case, it's important to have an attorney that you connect with, that you feel has the right amount of experience and the right investment in the case. And I'm not speaking to anybody else. I just know that that's important in any case.
Just how unsafe does this family feel? You mentioned it multiple times.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to speak for them at this point, but I think you can imagine the press coverage on this case has been immense, and the online and public reaction has been immense, and unfortunately, as is common in our culture, especially lately, the vitriol and the public reaction one way or the other has been intense, and threats and talk of race war and all kinds of insanity isn't good for, obviously, the...
Folks, if you have not, again, been following this thing, I could promise you, not just now, in the next few minutes, the next few hours, pay attention to podcasters and their channels of all nationalities and just see the disgust and hate from some podcasters. And when I say some podcasters, by no means am I just talking about one particular race, all right? Because it's coming, that the hate is coming from all nationalities, all right? So now with this coming out, with him being able to be at home on house arrest, I could only imagine what I'm gonna see come up on my feed in the next few days. But before I let him finish off this video, I just wish safety for the attorney, for the Judge Tucker, and for Karmelo and his family, because him being able to be home, he needs to be protected. The attorney needs to be protected, and the judge needs to be protected. Regardless how this case goes, they need to be protected, because it could get, I don't want it to get crazy, but we live in America. Let's not act like we don't know the history of this country. All right, let him continue.
Anthony family, it's not good for the Metcalf family, it's not good for the peace and safety of our community. So, I would ask, and I know both sides would ask, that the temperature on this be allowed to come down. That, the media, you guys have a job to do, and I understand that, everyone does, but, at the same time, we just ask everyone in the public and everywhere to let this process play out fairly and fully for both sides. Okay. Thank you, guys.
All right, so let me just read something. The family of Karmelo Anthony has announced the hiring of attorney Mike Howard, an experienced criminal defense lawyer in North Texas, to lead, like I said, Karmelo's legal defense as his case progresses. The family expressed gratitude to previous attorneys, which I said, this is not the attorneys that I've seen in photos. The family expressed gratitude to previous attorneys for their early support and emphasized the need for a comprehensive legal team to address the complexities of the situation. They are also urging the community for continued financial contributions to support ongoing fundraising efforts, which are crucial for ensuring Karmelo's constitutional rights are protected. As the upcoming bond reduction hearing approaches, the family is calling for public engagement and solidarity during his challenging time. There you have it. All right. Again, that is his attorney. And again, I just pray for the safety of his attorney, for Judge Tucker, Karmelo, his family, and all his loved ones, because it's going to get hot. And not because I said so, but because, again, we do live in America. Although America, for me, is the best place to live. I'm grateful to be here. It is America, and it has a history. Not only does it have a history, it has a present. And in its present, we've seen some things that were not necessarily just. All right. But with that being said, again, I'm going to link the first video that I did covering this case called Where Were the Adults at the end of this video. And I appreciate everyone for continuing to support this channel. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode. Take care.